Welcome back, True Seeker. Two big headlines in the news today. U.S. airman dies after setting himself on fire outside Israeli embassy in Washington, D.C. This reportedly happened yesterday, Sunday, the day of the week named after the Great Ball of Fire, February 25th. And then today, this news broke that Jacob Rothschild of the banking dynasty is dead at age 87. So, if you were watching my live stream yesterday, for a lot of people, it was probably the last live stream they watched. I lost a ton of support over this weekend for the rants I went on Saturday and Sunday. Pretty much spent 10 hours shooting myself in the foot with a lot of the support. But it's okay. Those people who left, they don't really need to be here. Again, at the end of the day, they value lies in their beliefs more than the person working their ass off to expose what's actually going on in the world. But funny enough, in yesterday's stream, not being aware that this was supposedly taking place in Washington, D.C., I was making the joke about the burning bush in Exodus. And if you didn't catch this story yet, the name of the man who set himself on fire, his name was Aaron Bushnell. And again, if you have not heard about this story until just now, he reportedly set himself on fire as a protest against what he referred to as the genocide in Gaza. He said, the pain he will feel is nothing compared to what the people in Gaza are experiencing. And if this really did happen, you know, it's like, yeah, he's right. He's right to protest as a military man saying he won't participate in this genocide. That's absolutely right. But is there really a point in setting yourself on fire and killing yourself when you're a rare voice in the military standing up for what's right? I can think about a million more things that are I guess, if this really did happen, I guess just to get the message out, but a person like this would be more valued alive and continuously speaking out. No reason to kill yourself. So what I do wonder though is how perfect the ritual is. And again, we know what they do with some of these military soldiers. MK Ultra is a real thing. And so often these rituals are so perfect. And here he is protesting a war on the 142nd day of the war when his name Aaron Bushnell equates to 142 in Gematria. And then if you read the story, they have to point out right away in the opening sentence that he was a 25-year-old who burned himself to death on the 25th of the month. And, it's interesting because as we know, we're on a calendar synced up with the Pope, and pretty much every major ritual in the news is synced with the Pope. But it was 70 days after Pope Francis's birthday. The Bible as we know it, that tells us the story in Exodus 3 of the burning bush. We'll get to that. But again, knows it was 70 days after the Pope's birthday. In Gematria, fire equates to 70. And when you apply numerology, it also equates to 25. Again, a 25-year-old military member burns himself to death on the 25th. Death is also 25. Of course, Francis and Vatican equate to 70. 70 days after the Pope's birthday. Of course, Pope and Vatican equate to 25, just like we saw. We saw the winning score on the Super Bowl, the first ever Super Bowl on the Vatican's birthday. This year it was with 25 points. Kind of like how the only Super Bowl the Pope's blessed to date was Super Bowl 51, where the Patriots with Tom Brady, who kissed the Pope's hand once upon a time, had the 25-point comeback on 2/5 over the Falcons, which also equals 25. But the other thing about the 25 that stands out here, again, a 25-year-old burns himself to death on the 25th, and his name is Aaron Bushnell. And again, the story of the burning bush is in Exodus 3, 2 through 5. A little bit like the number 325, which is the 25th triangular number. And again, in those verses, and the angel of the Lord appeared unto him in a flame of fire out the midst of a bush. And he looked, and behold, the bush burned with fire, and the bush was not consumed. And Moses said, I will now turn aside and see this great sight, why the bush is not burnt. Again, is this all just the organic side of the code? I mean, it's within the realm of possibility, but something makes me think it's just, the cabal knows how the minds of the masses work. All the people who just mindlessly go along with the authorities say, and, who watch Fox News, for example, and think, supporting Gaza is totally evil. They'll just see this guy as an idiot dissident, a traitor to his own country, who had a stupid protest and took his own life, you know? And at least half the country will see it that way because they're under total mind control. And yeah, it's just. And again, what are the odds that the story is just perfectly by the numbers? Also, since I wasn't there, who know? Unless you saw this with your own eyes, who knows if it's true? I mean, you can set yourself on fire. There's a trick that magicians do all the time, and it's just hard to say. But again, it looks like a perfect ritual in the numbers, and in a way, kind of like attaching something negative to a reasonable point of view. It is right to call out the genocide in Gaza. It should be stopped. Again, Benjamin Netanyahu equals 282. It started 282 days after he came back in as the prime minister. But also, just for the record, in Gematria, again, about everything being synced up with the Pope. Pope has the Gematria 52, as does Aaron Bushnell. And if you're new here, we'll go over the 4 base ciphers. There's 4 numerical values for every word. Pope also equates to 52 and 56. This happened on the 56th day of the year in 56 land, which is Washington, D.C. But it's interesting, again, how Aaron Bushnell equates to 52 like Pope. It's synced with him. Pope 56 like Washington, D.C., like Society of Jesus, like the 56th day of the year. Again, when the Pope spoke in D.C., that was September 23rd, 2015, the 266th day of the year. He's the 266th Pope in the history of the Church. The Jesuit motto, Isus Hominum Salvator, is 266. They also had to tell you this soldier was from San Antonio, Texas, which also equates to 56. And Aaron Bushnell, when you run it in reverse, is 74, like George Washington. A number that comes up all the time in DC. Masonic equals 74, occult 74, killing 74. DC's the Masonic city named after the Freemason George Washington. So, as the story says, an active duty member of the U.S. Air Force who set himself on fire outside the Israeli embassy in Washington, D.C. on Sunday has died, authorities said. Aaron Bushnell, 25, of San Antonio, Texas, said in a video of the incident obtained by CNN that he would no longer be complicit in genocide and that his suffering was minimal compared to that of Palestinians as the humanitarian crisis persists in Gaza. And remember, I made this point about genocide in Israel. For the record, in Gematria, genocide equals 44, Israel equals 44, Netanyahu 44, Zion 44. And again, it was the eve of the 44th anniversary of the start of the 444-day Iranian hostage crisis, where Netanyahu said they will not stop bombing and killing in Gaza until every single hostage is returned. And just like I said that day, I said, they're not going to get back every single hostage. So it's pretty much saying that they're not going to stop killing in Gaza, which is a genocide. And let's not forget the big stones about genocide. We're in Georgia, the state that equals 44, the 4th state, where Jimmy Carter's from, who's connected to that Iranian hostage crisis. And of course, Joe Biden, whose name equals 44, who's been compared to Jimmy Carter, who was the wingman of Obama, who was number 44. He's been so compared to, again, everything going on in Joe Biden's administration has had all these parallels to Jimmy Carter. But it's all been by the numbers, just like how they called Georgia for Joe Biden on Jimmy Carter's 44th day of his age. All right. Yeah, again, they just point out how the war started on October 7th. And again, that was the anniversary of us invading Afghanistan after 9/11, which was connected to Tisha B'Av, which is another big 44. And that year, 9/11 was 44 days after Tisha B'Av. But yeah, it's all just a little bit too perfect. And, sadly, if there was an Aaron Bushnell in the military, he might have been pulled aside perfectly because of his last name. And again, just a little sick ritual for them to do in the media. Poor kid might have gotten the MK Ultra treatment, sets himself on fire, becomes the national news story, so half the country can laugh at him. We don't need those kind of traitor dissidents in our military anyway. God bless Israel, fuck Gaza. It's half the country. Those turban, brown head wearing terrorists. Okay, so in other news, Jacob Rothschild's dead at 87. You want to guess what his name equals in Gematria? You want to guess what the name of the bank he ran in equals in Gematria? I'll give you one guess. So let's not forget the Pope's 87 right now in light of them syncing up everything with the Pope. But Jacob Rothschild, 87, he ran the bank NM Rothschilds and Sons, and with an ampersand. And again, Derek made the change to the calculator a year and a half ago, where if you put an ampersand in there, it just deletes it out when you do the calculation because it's a null value. But again, Derek, put it back in there because it just makes it look like you're doing a false decode. Like someone's like, well, where's the and? Just keep it like how it was, like how ampersand is a null value, which is true. There was no reason to make it so it disappears. Because I'll just show you guys. It's just like he made all these changes to the calculator. He spent all this time, and like literally none of them are helpful. They changed the names of every cipher. So again, we're going to get to the 75 and 87. Again, Ignatius Loyola, the founder of the Jesuits, is 75 and 87, and the superior general, the leader of the Jesuits right now, is 75 years old, whereas the first Jesuit pope's 87. But notice, you write it in there, but then down in the decode, it just disappears. So when you take the screenshot, it's gone. Why? Like, in what world is that a helpful change? It makes it look like you're doing a false decode. It makes it look like you're manipulating the actual name to get your point across. Anyway, his name and the bank name is 87, just like the Catholic Church is 87, like Ignatius Loyola, the founder of the Jesuits, is 87, like Number of the Beast is 87. And notice how Jacob Rothschild and Number of the Beast overlap perfectly in 3 out of the 4 ciphers. And then the one cipher where they don't overlap, it's just a reshuffling of the 4 and the 7. It's nearly the same. And with regards to that 66, they had to put in the article, the Rothschilds have an estimated fortune of around 825 million British pounds, according to last year's Sunday Times Rich List, and give away a reported 66 million to Jewish causes, education, and art. It's kind of weird that they wrote that. It should say like, and have given away, or do they give away 66 million per year? But anyway, they had to stick the 66 number in there. And again, we're always talking about where these beast rituals fit in. See how Number of the Beast is 174? When the United Nations unveiled the statue that looked a lot like the beast from Revelation, it was on the 174th day of the first ever Jesuit Ignatian year. It's a couple years back now. But in light of him being Jewish and prominent in England, he did die on the 57th day of the year, or at least the news broke today, the 57th day of the year. Jews is 57, like England, like Rome, synced with the Pope, synced with the Superior General. And from the Pope's birthday, December 17th, to his death is 71 days later. Society of Jesus 71, Catholic 71. Remember, the war in Israel began on Putin's 71st birthday, 71 days before the Pope's birthday. And it mattered because we went into Afghanistan on that same day in history. And remember, Osama bin Laden was supposedly funded by the CIA to interfere with the Soviet Union. So, thus, having this ritual happen on Putin's 71st birthday. And again, if you're new here, look at all the Catholic numbers. I mean, so obvious. 145 more chapters in the Catholic Old Testament. Israel created on 14/5. 46 books in the Catholic Old Testament. Again, Joe Biden, number 46, elected 46 weeks after the Pope's birthday. JFK, the first Catholic president, number 35, assassinated age 46. Joe Biden was inaugurated on the Pope's 35th day of his age, sacrificed his son at age 46. Car crash. You see how a car crash is 71, 35, 145? Again, Joe Biden lost his wife and daughter in a car crash, supposedly in a huge Jesuit ritual right after he became senator-elect in 72. Jesuit Order 72. Then when his son died, he was 72 years old. It was another huge Jesuit ritual. And then eventually he became President Biden by the numbers, another big 72. He's Jesuit educated just like Trump, who's another 72. When Trump first went to the United Nations, it was on 72 date numerology a long time ago, and he made a big ass of himself, gloating while the world literally laughed at him, like how America really is the laughing stock of the world, but most Americans don't have a clue, thinking they live in the greatest land there ever was because they're so indoctrinated. Biggest laughing stock of the world right now, the United States of America. Yeah, we might still have the most power and military, but it's only temporary. The New World Order transfers where power is. So, anyhow, again, day after day, news by the numbers, undeniable rituals, and just a little simple code of ABC123 reveals it all. And again, it's just like we said, the Rothschild, whose name's on the Balfour Declaration, he died in a big Jesuit ritual. So for all the people who think the Rothschilds run the world, the no impact flicks, all that will ever come out of his mouth, Zionist bankers and Rothschilds. Like, nope, that's not who runs the world. Those are puppets on the stage. They might be more elevated puppets, but they're just puppets. Again, what's Rothschild mean? It means red shield. Oh, who had red shields? Oh, the Templars, the military order of the Catholic Church. The Templars were the first bankers. As you start to see, like, who's really behind this Rothschild, banker enterprise family. And again, the Jesuit logo has the Templar cross right next to the letters IHS for Jesus Hominum Salvator. So maybe there's a Simpsons joke in here as well. Don't they say that Mr. Burns is supposed to be modeled after Jacob Rothschild? So I'll let somebody else look into that. But I think that they do say that Mr. Burns in The Simpsons is modeled after old Jacob, who's bit the dust. So thank you, Christopher. I appreciate that. You've contributed plenty. You don't owe any more, friend. You've also pounded payment from Oklahoma City to New York. But yeah, hey, if there's any people who appreciated this weekend streams and have never supported the work, you guys could jump in for the over 100 people who stopped supporting the work this weekend. And again, I'm not shocked that happened because I know there's a lot of flat earthers in the community, even though I can't stand flat earth. And I know there's a lot of Jesus people in the community, even though I know that the reason they're still Jesus people is because ultimately all that's inside them is fear. Fear. That's what's inside every Jesus person. You have to believe in the bullshit story or else, right? You got to believe in the total load of steaming bullshit or else. It's also the same reason these people, they do support the work, but they're the same kind of people that would never show up and pound payment and won't do anything themselves because they're so scared something's going to happen to them. So really what I need in my community are logical, intelligent people, which don't really include flat earthers or religious people. I need people with warrior spirit. I need people who actually want to change the world and not, believe in bullshit and wait for fairy tales to come save them. So at the same time, I do need all kinds of people to support the work because there's not enough support here. And it does suck when you run off over 100 people in the weekend doing 10 hours of live streams. But again, really, I can only blame myself. I could be nicer, but at the same time, it's like, I don't want to be. Sometimes I just want to vent about the way things are. Religious people, like I always say, there's tiers to the problems of the world. The foundation of the problems of the world are religion and religious people. Okay. They're the biggest problem. Then based on that religious tier are other things, people who believe in government, which is right there with religion. I mean, the Catholic Church essentially invented the idea of government. They used to rule over the land of Europe, and they didn't let this country get away from its grip either. Thus all the Roman architecture and capital. But, the religious believers, the government believers, the TV believers, these are all the problematic layers of humanity. So we're going to continue to speak against all of them. And if sometimes you just can't handle the rants, it's probably because you need to grow thicker skin and maybe recognize where I'm coming from. I'm not wrong about how bullshit your religion is and how you're totally invested in it only because of fear. That moron who I was talking about yesterday, he even admitted today, he said, the reason I'm doing this is to get my place in heaven. So it's like, yeah, exactly. You're doing it for a selfish reason. You want an eternal afterlife in the fictional scenario that's been sold to you through the bullshit religion printed in books. By the way, moron, again, the guy, the guy did a response video, and it's just like listening to retards is so annoying. He's like, I was the first person in the world to show the 192 in Uvalde. No, you weren't, moron. I was up in the middle of the night in Buffalo because I was out there pounding pavement about the racist mass shooting they had. And then the Uvalde shooting happened while I was in Buffalo. And I stayed up all night. I had 192 out about that in the middle of the night before you probably even knew about the story. And not to mention the guy literally showed a clip of my video, but zoomed in so you couldn't see it was my channel today, and then again gives no credit. But anyway, dumbass, he was trying to say the 192 in the Uvalde shooting was because Obama's the Antichrist. No, the 192 that was in Uvalde and about the next 3 mass shootings after it, where they kept coding 192, was about assault weapons because they were calling for an assault weapons ban. And by your logic, Gabe Kapler is the Antichrist of the San Francisco Giants, their manager, because he got involved in the Uvalde ritual. See, this guy literally did a response video to me today, and he's like, 192 is about Obama's the Antichrist, and that's why it was in Uvalde. It's like, no, moron. You're an example of what happens when an idiot gets a hold of the knowledge and tries to connect everything to one thing. You know, some morons think everything's about an eclipse. Some morons think everything is about Obama. Again, you guys are lesser minds who don't deserve this knowledge, especially when you slander my name. To say that 192 was about Obama just shows that you're a fucking retard. It was about the assault weapons that they're targeting. And if you don't know what I'm talking about with Gabe Kapler, let me go back and pull it up. I got like 50 posts on 192 from the time of Uvalde. Here, Gabe Kapler. On the 147th day of the year, he said he would no longer do the national anthem, which is 147, until they did something about guns. And he's in San Francisco, liberal Mecca. But he's the manager of the Giants, right? So he's appealing to the home crowd. Gabe Kapler, 192, San Francisco Giants. Like literally a moron in the world who thinks Jesus is going to come any day and the rapture's about to happen, which is a totally false teaching that is only subscribed to by literally retarded people, thinks the 192 that they coded all over the Uvalde shooting had to do with Obama. God. It's just, again, it's embarrassing, you know. And again, since you are probably out there watching right now, you're just a pathetic liar. I mean, you said in your video that I've been going back and forth with you for 4 years. No, I've pretty much been ignoring you every single day for 4 years while you've been slandering me, recognizing you're just another fucking loser who learned the work and doesn't appreciate the teacher. The reason I finally addressed you yesterday is because it was the first time you ever went out and pounded pavement and you showed what an embarrassment of a human being you are. And then you just lie about it more. And then what's comical to watch is how all of the other Christian retards that follow you, how they think you did a great job out there yesterday. You look like a fucking loser to anyone with a brain. No one with a brain would think you did a great job. They just say, that's a fucking loser who embarrassed himself, who got ran off the lot by 3 men. In today's rebuttal video, you said you weren't scared and you didn't leave because you were afraid of getting arrested. You're a fucking liar. You bounced as soon as that guy got on the phone and said, are you guys on the way? And you just said seconds earlier you were happy to get martyred and arrested there. And then you got in your car and drove away and said, I got to drive away a distance before I get out and talk more. I mean, again, the reason that your dumb minions that follow you can't see through it is the same reason that they're dumb enough to believe the story that God sent his son to earth to die on a cross for your sins. Just like I have to be a fucking retard to believe that story, you got to be a fucking retard to believe you. You're literally lying to their face, your audience's face, and they're eating it up. That's how dumb they are. Another lie he told. He's like, he criticized me because he said that I was only going to give out 5 more flyers, but then I gave out more, but I didn't. It's like, yeah, you did. Go watch your own video. Anyway, it's just, you guys, I'm going to continue to rant. If it continues to drop my numbers of support down, then so fucking be it. Again, I'm going to rant about how stupid humanity is, because humanity is stupid. It's why they follow every fucking stupid thing that's fed down their throat by the authorities. And it's that, It's sad to watch. I can't stand just the way the hive mind works, and I'm just so sick of looking at humanity as just a pack of fucking losers, or a better word is lemmings. I mean, it's just like, yeah, we're all in this retarded belief together, so we all cheer each other on through all of our lies and bullshit. I mean, I just can't imagine that anybody who had like 50 IQ points would watch that guy yesterday and think anything than what a fucking loser. Who's scared of old men? God, what a pussy. And my favorite part of the video is when he was like recounting it after he drove away, so afraid. And he's like, they were all charging at me. It's like they were charging at you. They were walking like they were hardly alive. Like 3 zombies coming at you in slow motion. God. I mean. And then today he's begging for support. He's like, if I don't get support, I'm going to have to retire in 1 month. Hey, sorry ass motherfucker, you told another lie. You said I've been monetized the whole time I've been doing this work. No, I've had over 30 some channels. Only 3 have been allowed to be monetized, and the other 2 were taken away very quickly. Also, the first 5 years I was here doing something nobody'd ever done before, I lost hundreds of thousands of dollars. Well, for all sorts of reasons. A, it was stolen. B, property damage. C, I didn't have a job, so I didn't have any income. I mean, you add it all up, it's probably a net loss of probably close to about $700,000 what I went through. Never raised a penny in that time anyway. Never raised a penny in that time. Well, I did have a side hustle that had some money coming in, so. But yeah, again, to be on here, just lie after lie after lie, and then to not give any credit to the person you live in. And then you say, I give all credit to Gematria to God. I mean, that's a disingenuous statement. You didn't learn Gematria from God, you dumb motherfucker. You learned it from me. You learned it from me, dumb motherfucker. And you can't even give credit to who you learned it from. That's why I get sick of religious people and all the God shit. Again, I do believe there's a creator. Don't get it twisted. It's just, like I said, I think the authorities got it right. The occultists. God created the world, and God is not intervening. God will send signs into your life, but God's not going to intervene beyond signs. I've never seen any intervention from God other than signs. And I don't think anyone has. And you won't catch the signs if you're not paying attention. But just so much God stuff. It's just like God is like, this idea of God is not helping out humanity. People are waiting for God to come solve their problems. People are delusional beliefs about God, fighting over who's got the right God. It's like, it would almost be better if we were all just atheists. You know, I think that's actually true. I think if everyone could just agree to be an atheist, I think it would actually be better off. No more fighting over this God thing. No more fucking losers like Joseph. I found Gematria because of God. No, you didn't, you piece of shit. You found it because I worked my ass off for years, and then you cloned everything I did and then slandered me all in the same breath. That's called a piece of shit. Fuck you and the God you believe in. Okay? You're about Satan like most Christians. So anyway, for anyone who doesn't like it, you can fuck off. But there should be more people who like it. You're looking at a real warrior who's been here for over a decade, dropping nothing but facts and truth and waking people up to real evil and tyranny, and not trying to mislead people into some bullshit or take advantage of some herd of fucking losers. Yeah. Again, retard from Boston, total fraud shill, learned that if he started saying he believed in God, all of a sudden he'd get monetary donations. Oh, the Earth's flat, more monetary donations. I could do the same fucking thing if I was a fraud. I'm not a fucking fraud. Frauds I know, almost all of them have been Christians. Almost every last one of them. Joseph. I'll do a bigger stream on Joseph and play some of his clips. Show you what a piece of shit looks like. Your typical Christian. All right, True Seeker, we will leave it there. And until next time.